Write an equation in slope-intercept form that has a slope of -1/4 and it passes through the y-intercept of 5. So y equals mx plus b. So y equals, m is my slope, which is -1/4, x plus b plus 5 is my y-intercept. Number 2. Write an equation in point slope form that has a slope of -2 and passes through the point -4, 3. So I'm going to label this x1, y1. So y minus y1, which is 3, equals slope m, -2, parentheses x minus x1, so minus a -4, which turns into a plus 4. Today, we are in lesson 12.3 called Standard Form. It's page 183. We are going to learn how to write an equation of a line in standard form and use standard form of linear equations in order to solve problems. So we're going to learn how to convert standard form to slope-intercept form and convert point slope to standard form and so on. So standard form is in this box for you. It's ax plus by equals c. X and y stand for unknowns. A, b, and c are constants. They're numbers. And there are two rules here. The first rule is that a has to be greater than or equal to 0. So that means a cannot be negative. A and b are not both 0 at the same time because they would be gone and we wouldn't have an equation. And another rule is that a, b, and c are integers or whole numbers whose greatest common factor is 1. So what that means is we cannot have fractions when it's written out in standard form. Now you know we can have fractions in point slope and slope-intercept form because usually our slope is rise over run, and if it doesn't reduce, it stays as a fraction. Okay, so we're going to skip a lot of questions in our book because some of this is very hard to teach virtually, and for the sake of time, we're skipping some of this material this year. So jump to question 4. We see 3x plus 2y equals 8. That's in standard form. Okay, if you can notice, A is 3, B is 2, and C is 8. A is positive 3, so it passes that rule, and I don't have any fractions here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to convert this to slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. We would convert this to slope-intercept form so we can tell what the slope is, and so it's going to be easier for us to graph, just in case we had to graph this, which we might have to do in lesson 12.4. So in y equals mx plus b, y is solved for. Y is isolated. It's all by itself. So let's solve for y in this equation. So what that means is first we want to get 2y by itself. So let's subtract 3x. Whatever I do to one side, I want to do or have to do to the other. So 2y equals. Now I want to write my mx term first, then plus b. So let's write negative 3x plus 8. Y is not alone yet. There's a 2 out in front of it. So 2 and y are being multiplied. So the opposite is to divide by 2 and divide everything on the other side by 2 as well. 2 divided by 2 cancels out, so we're left with y equals negative 3 halves stays, and then 8 divided by 2, that simplifies or reduces to 4. And this looks like y equals mx plus b. M is my slope, which is negative 3 halves. That's your rise over run. B is your y-intercept, which happens to be 4 here. And it's okay if we have fractions because it's slope-intercept form. My slope can be a fraction. Question 5. Currently, if I'm looking at this equation, this is in point slope form. And we want to convert this to standard form. So ax plus dy equals c. So let's distribute. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 1 is 2. Then let's get y all by itself. So let's add 7 to both sides. So y equals 2x plus 9. Ooh, this is slope-intercept form, but I want it to be standard form. And if I look over here, notice that x comes first, then y, and they're out in front. So what I want to do is I want to take this x term and move it out in front. How would I move that? What's the opposite of a positive 2x? Subtract 2x, subtract 2x. So negative 2x plus y equals 9. Uh-oh, this is breaking a rule. Remember that a has to be positive. A currently is negative 2, so how do I cancel out a negative? 2 negatives make a positive. So I want to think about multiplying everything by a negative 1, or you could think about dividing everything by a negative 1. And let's distribute this through. And all that's going to do is it's going to change all of the signs. Negative times negative is going to be a positive 2x. It's going to turn into a negative y and a negative 9. So this is standard form. Ax, so I have 2x minus 1y equals negative 9. So that's standard form. Question 6. Let's write this in the My Notes section of our book because we don't have enough room to work in the Check Your Understanding box. Currently, this is in standard form. It looks like ax plus by equals c. A is 2, b is 3, c is 18. And we're going to convert this into slope-intercept form, which means solve for y. So I want to get this 3y alone. So write that out in the My Notes section of your book, and then we're going to walk through this question together. Subtract 2x. Subtract 2x. 3y equals negative 2x plus 18. Is y completely alone yet? What's out in front? It's being multiplied by 3. So the opposite of multiplying by 3 is to divide by 3. Over here, divide by 3, divide by 3. y equals negative 2/3 doesn't reduce or simplify, so leave it as a fraction. And what is 18 divided by 3? 6. All right, bonus questions. What's the slope here? Negative 2/3. What's the y-intercept? 6. Good job. Okay, let's try another one of these in the My Notes section of our book. Okay, in the My Notes section of our book. We're not going to do question 7 or 8. So in the My Notes section of your book, on page 183, 184, 185, wherever you have room, let's try another one. So 6x plus 5y equals negative 20. Okay, we're going to do another example together. We want to convert this to y equals mx plus b. So what that means is I want to solve for y. I want y all by itself. So what do we need to move first? We need to subtract 6x. How do I know I'm subtracting? Because it's currently positive, so that's the opposite. So I'm left with 5y equals. Now, if I'm looking at my equation, we want to write the mx first. So write negative 6x first, then the plus b, and in this case it's minus or negative 20. And I can't put these two things together because they're unlike terms. One has an x, a variable, and one's just a constant, a number by itself. So don't put them together and say they're negative 26x. We cannot do that. Okay, now if I'm looking, again, we want this y to be alone, and there's something out in front of it. It's being multiplied by 5. So the opposite, divide everything by 5. So y equals negative 6 divided by 5 stays as a fraction. Negative 20 divided by 5. Reduces or simplifies to negative 4. What's the slope here? Negative 6 over 5. And what's our y-intercept? Negative 4. Good job. All right, question 9. Here's a story problem of how or why or when we might use standard form. Sushila is making a large batch of granola to sell at a school fundraiser. She needs to buy walnuts and almonds to make the granola. Walnuts cost $3 per pound. Almonds cost $2 per pound. She has $30 to spend on those ingredients. Question A says write an equation to represent the different amounts of walnuts X and almonds Y that Sushila can buy. All right, we are going to write this in standard form. So AX plus BY equals C. So let's look at what I underlined in blue first, which is walnuts. How much do walnuts cost? $3. What variable or letter are we using for walnuts? X. Plus, What else are we buying? Almonds that cost $2 per pound. And which letter are we using for almonds? Y equals, what's the total amount of money that she has to spend? $30. Perfect. Good. All right. This is actually where we are going to stop with this lesson.